This is Sigmund Bloom with your Week 10 waiver wire. Quick hitter at quarterback. Taysom Hill still tops the list. We'll see if his 2 pass attempts turns into becoming the starter this week. We know what he can do as a fantasy quarterback. We don't know what Justin Fields can do as a fantasy quarterback after the bye. We may find out as he comes into the bye on a high note, passing downhill field successfully against the Steelers. Matt Ryan has a good schedule coming up against the pass, and he did well against the Saints. And then Mike White, don't forget about him. If he takes over from Zach Wilson, based on what we saw from Josh Johnson, he might be leading a prolific offense with a lot of garbage time. At running back, we've got a long list. Kenyan Drake, if he's out there, make sure that he is on a roster. Even though Rhamondre Stevenson has just had a head injury, he's still worth picking up, potentially taking over this backfield, or at least being the most valuable part of it. Dearness Johnson is back, probably starting this week. We'll see about Nick Chubb and the Koof list and Demetric Felton. Alex Collins, we'll see if Chris Carson can get back on the field. He might have been dropped going into his bye. Devonta Freeman looks like the most valuable Ravens back down, at least until Latavius Murray comes back, probably not Thursday night. Nyheim Hines reminded the Colts what he can do. Mark Ingram, if he can get a positive game script, we may see him get 20 touches. He almost had as many touches as Alvin Kamara in the loss to the Falcons. And then Devin Singletary could start this week with Zach Moss nursing a concussion. Also, the Bills could be forced to use their running backs more, both in the passing and running game, if defenses continue to play that cover 2 shell against them. Watch out for Jordan Howard. Depending on the matchup, if the Eagles continue to be run first team, he could continue to have value, more of a matchup play. Maybe throw a dart at the end of your roster for any one of the Titans running backs. Adrian Peterson, the goal line back. Jeremy McNichols, the best passing down back, which could have the most value this week against the Saints. And D'Onta Foreman, the one who may break out with the most juice. Just want to see him get more opportunities. Brandon Bolden could start this week for New England against the Cleveland Browns. So you might want to look at him. Again, we're watching Damian Harris and Rhamondre Stevenson, also J.J. Taylor at the very bottom of the list. You never know if you need an emergency play. Benjamin has some value also as the backup to to James Conner, with Chase Edmonds maybe out on injured reserve. Benjamin looked good on his 21-yard touchdown run. At wide receiver, the story is Elijah Moore, and you see the quickness, you see the speed, you see the passing game now revitalized. Garbage time should be there. Even more doing this, not being a full-time player. What happens if he does become a full-time player? Brandon Aiyuk is back in our good graces. Odell Beckham could be, depending on where he lands, it's certainly a fun gamble if he was dropped to pick him up. If either of these Chicago wide receivers were dropped, you can pick them up and hold them through the bye. Darnell Mooney, maybe with more weekly upside. Allen Robinson, maybe a higher floor. Don't forget about Rashod Bateman, the number 3 target, but in a robust pass offense led by Lamar Jackson. And Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's your dice roll wide receiver 3 flex, getting those deep shot plays off of play action with a Browns offense that has exhaled and is relaxed without Odell Beckham. At tight end, Pat Frieirmuth. He's Ben Roethlisberger's guy in the red zone and continues to make these plays. He'll continue to get those opportunities. Eric Ebron, been nice knowing you even whenever he's healthy. This is Muth's job. By the way, if Rob Gronkowski is out there, if Dawson Knox is out there, this is a mouthful. I would go Gronk, Muth, Knox. But all 3 of them worthy tight end ones going forward. Dan Arnold, maybe a worthy tight end one, led the Jags in targets. Also has a good matchup against Indy this week, who just gave up a good game to Ryan Griffin. Tyler Conklin continues to be a pretty steady part of the Minnesota pass offense. They could have a high-scoring game against the Chargers this week. And Cole Kmet, worth carrying through the bye. Well, if you're hard up at tight end, he could be part of that rising tide of the Bears passing game. Also, by the way, folks, if you're looking for a defense, check out my Rent a Defense column that comes out every Tuesday at Footballguys as we look forward now to the fantasy playoffs. Maybe some preemptive stashes there too. So check that out if you play in leagues with team defenses. No matter what positions your league has, you're still hanging around with Week 10, you're hanging out with us. We feel very honored to be able to do that. It's a privilege. It's a pleasure to serve you always because you're so very classy.